Let's go, boys. Finally got the TS400 back together. It took a while. I had to redo the stud spacing. It's 50 by 50 for those of you that don't know. I had to use M5 by 1.0 bolts, but she's all ready to rock and roll. I'm not going to put it on the bike yet. I'll probably just swap it when one of my old China motors decides to kick the bucket. We'll try this thing out. But holy smokes, I didn't show you this one, did I? This is the most sketchiest looking bike that you probably have ever seen, but you know what? It's probably gonna rip. This is the 47 millimeter Minarelli horizontal. That sounds like jibber jabber to a lot of people. It's basically a scooter top end that makes about 8 horsepower. We have a custom welded YZ125 exhaust with a 21 kind of small millimeter carb on this G2 reed with a reed stuffer. A lot of these parts came from different people. This spacer plate was sent in by Moses Sen Valley. He sent me two actually. Well, they were both originally for a Minarelli vertical, but I actually had to enlarge the stud spacing to work with this cylinder here. Also, Noah from A&B Garage sent me a reed stuffer. It's basically a little piece of plastic. Takes up a lot of this volume. Really helped out. I can't wait to start this thing up, but I've just seen on my other builds it really made a difference with the low end power. This exhaust right here I got local for about 70 bucks. I weld the header myself. It's not pretty, you know, my welds aren't the best, but you know what, it's solid, right? Made this little pipe support. We're not going to get too in depth. I'm just going to basically show you the pros and cons of doing these chainsaw hybrids and Minarelli hybrids, and I'll just basically give you guys a full rundown. So, what you came here for. This video is the pros and cons of these Minarelli hybrids and these chainsaw motors, and what purposes are they for, and why would you consider building one or buying one, because you can buy pre-builts. The first pro to one of these right here is they're going to have crazy RPM. Like this one right here, I got to get a tachometer on it, but just judging by the sound, it's definitely, when I'm pinning it like full throttle, it's probably at 11K. Easily 12K. The Athena, which is the aluminum version of this, has a little bit better of a port map on it. It's definitely a race cylinder. If you get the Athena Sport, I think it goes like 15K, which is just crazy to think about on a bicycle. That's definitely the first pro. Like, these turn crazy RPM, right? And they make good power because of that, those high port durations. The second pro is going up hills. I mean, even with this one, because they make so much more power, you know, you won't have to really pedal as much, especially on this one, because I don't have any kind of pedal clearance. You won't normally run into that, but where I'm using such a gigantic YZ125 pipe, I really have no choice. I could buy wide pedal cranks like I got on this build here, but those are like 60 bucks, and I'm already broke from building this, so. One con about this setup is you're going to have to either find somebody that knows how to weld. These welds I did myself, they're not pretty, but you know what? They hold. This pipe isn't going anywhere. You're gonna have to make a little support tab for your exhaust right there. What else? The carburetor, if you have a case reed, you're gonna have to make your whole induction system. I'll throw up a picture. If you buy the Minarelli vertical, which I recommend a lot more, you won't really have to do any of that. You can either make your own intake, feel free to do so if you know a local machine shop that will, or you can buy them from Smolik. You can buy them from DLH, the G2 reed style. I prefer Smolik's reed. It's a lot simpler, but that's just me. A lot of people ask, how do you go about gearing one of these things? Since they turn such high RPM, you can't expect it to have a super ton amount of low end. So what I do is I run a 36 tooth on 700C wheels. That should work pretty good. You can't go 28, nothing below that. That's just, it's not going to pull that. I know a lot of people only like going fast, but unless you want to pedal like a half a kilometer to get there, stick with something like a 32 or 36 tooth. On this one, I've seen people even run 40. I mean, when I had this engine on my gas bike, I had a 40 tooth that's still on there, and I mean, that pulled really good. It had great acceleration, but it didn't have a crazy top speed. So I think 36 on these little bit bigger rims are going to really help with the top speed. I did the math, and this thing should do about 63 miles an hour, which is pretty dang impressive. So when it comes to these saw cylinders, their philosophy is there's no replacement or displacement. This one right here is about 75 cc's, but I've seen them go up to 97 with the MS460s and stuff, and you're allowed to run like a 28.2 sprocket and get away with it on 26-inch wheels because just of that big piston, it's just going to haul you up any kind of hill. So I have both. I've ran that one for very low miles, so I can't say for certain if I do like that yet, but I have ran this all summer, and like I said, it is a stupid fast engine. You got to be careful. I mean, I should have really thrown the safety disclaimer in earlier in the video, but I'm over here running rim brakes on this thing on a road bike frame. I will say, though, this is a Giant, right? It's a very good frame, so I can't say anything bad about it. But you're going to have to just kind of use common sense. I mean, this thing has a good ignition, a PW80, like I said, so the timing's super retarded on it. It's not too far advanced. It has good bearings in it for the crank. It is properly mounted. You can see I have a you're probably not going to be able to see it. A CNC front little spacer there to take up the extra space in the frame. Better grade 8 bolts on it. Like, you have to like think of it like this, right? This was never intended for even a stock motor, right? Not intended for that power. You like triple that power, well, God forbid, you're going to have to do some upgrades. I would like to eventually swap. Shout out to ERT. He has 700C mag rims on his bike, and those seem a lot sturdier. Like, there's nothing wrong with these, but they're very stock wheels. They're just not going to hold up very well. If I'm on and off the throttle, you got to drive with common sense. I mean, when you get in this power level, you can't be doing wheelies. I mean, you can if you want to, you know, end up hurting yourself real bad. But yeah, proper brakes. I'm going to have to get some discs hooked up. Some people buy the little adapters. I've just used in the past a front rim that can accommodate disc brakes, and I just weld a tab. Works good as long as you have a steel frame. But that's just a quick little video today on this Minarelli. I can't wait to get it going. It literally just needs cables to run. I'll have a video posted for y'all once it's all together. But yeah, man, drivetrain's all hooked up. Pipe's ready to go. It's going to be super loud. Obviously, it's got no muffler on it right now. But yeah, so personally, I like these a lot better. But when we get some runtime on that, I'll let you guys know how that works out. Thanks for tuning in as always. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.